Len McCluskey, what did Labour get wrong this time?
Well, they clearly didn't appeal to enough voters to vote for them. And of course, the debate that needs to take place in the Labour Party, in the Labour movement now, is precisely what did go wrong. I think all of us will have different views, and I'm already hearing the grandees of the Labour Party saying that we were too left-wing. I would deeply challenge that. But we do have to have a serious debate as to how we reconnect, how we put together proposals and a programme that can embrace all working people from Scotland and South Wales to the English regions and the South. So it's going to be an interesting debate. It's very evident that the central message Ed was unable to put forward, and you know there can be reasons about that. There's also no doubt in my mind that the late swing in the opinion polls was as a result of the anti-Scottish card that was played by Lynton Crosby and the Conservatives. They must have thought all their Christmases had come early. And we have to examine that. In my opinion, that has been a major factor why Miliband is now not the Prime Minister. And I lay the blame for that very squarely at the feet of Scottish Labour. Not only have they lost Scotland, but I think they've been responsible for making certain that the Tories were back in power in Westminster.
Do you think Labour as a whole was not left-wing enough?
I don't think Labour had a sufficiently coherent argument and policy, and some of their economic arguments were muddled because they'd got sucked into the Tory trap of spending and deficits and the need to resolve those issues. They didn't deal right at the beginning of Ed's leadership with the myth and the lies that all of the problems that we currently have is because of the last Labour government.
Did you tell Ed Miliband this during the campaign in the last few weeks?
We've been telling Ed Miliband this for the last 4 years.
So you don't think Labour spent too much when it was last in government?
I don't. I mean, I think the issue of spending too much is an interesting one. If you look in some of the statistics, pre-97, the deficit was 3.4% of GDP. By 2007, that had come down to 2.4%. And here's an interesting point, Emily, which I'd like to stress more than anything else. George Osborne supported all of the spending plans of the last Labour government. So the idea that too much was spent is clouded in smoke and mirrors. The reality, of course, I'm not suggesting for 1 minute that I agreed with the last Labour government, because the last Labour government, like previous governments, did nothing to rebalance our economy. Too much reliance on the financial sector, not enough done, and still not enough done about tax avoidance, perhaps the biggest scandal of our time.
Let's get back to spending. Chuka Umunna and Liz Kendall, two of the Labour candidates, have said very plainly that Labour did spend too much when last in government. Are they wrong?
Yes, they are. I mean, of course, that's a mantra now, that we spend too much, we should apologise, Labour is not aspirational enough.
So would it make it hard for you
enough
to support either of their candidacies?
Well, it's a question that will have to be debated by our membership. What we intend to do is allow all the candidates to put forward their views and thoughts to a fairly large group of our representatives that we're going to bring together at a hustings, and then our members will make a decision as to who they think offers the best way forward.
But presumably, if you unite, believe that that is central to Labour, that it did not spend too much when last in government, then you can't support candidates who think it did.
No, it's not so much a question about, I understand Chuka and Liz and others who are seeking to try and make up for what they believe was a fundamental mistake within the last election. I'm more interested about what they're saying about the future. And they'll get, Liz, Chuka and whoever else is in the debate, will get a fair chance to express their vision. At
the moment, is there one person who sings out to you from those?
No, I'm not. I'm personally not coming out in support of anyone at the moment, because I want the process to take place where the membership of Unite, and remember, our membership have voted in all kinds of different ways. The vast majority of our members in Scotland voted SNP. We have to deal with that. There'll be numbers of our members who have voted UKIP and Conservative.
Do you recognise that whoever you endorse eventually may feel like it's the kiss of death?
Well, it's interesting you should say that. We'll see whether or not the individual leaders are interested in seeking our support. If they don't want the support of Unite or other trade unions, they won't ask for it. And I think once again this plays to this, bogeyman image that the right-wing media, they always need a bogeyman. I happen to be the one at the moment. The truth of the matter is that the trade unions are the very core of what the Labour Party is. We keep Labour in touch with real ordinary people at grassroots level, and I'm certain that all leaders of the Labour Party would seek to have that type of support.
Could you imagine circumstances in which you withdrew funding from the Labour Party?
It's not something that I would particularly want to contemplate. We've got a rules conference coming up in July. There will be calls from our membership to disaffiliate from the Labour Party. I'm going to resist those calls.
Let's look at the country as a whole. In Scotland, Labour lost to the SNP. In the north of England, they lost to UKIP, second place many times, and in the south to the Conservatives. What are you going to do to bridge all the different people you need in that one leader?
Well, first of all, there's no magic wands, and it has to be a debate, and that's really the challenge to whoever wants to be the leader, the challenge of how you regurgitate Labour's prospects in all of those areas. For example, in Scotland, my view is very, very strongly that we have to say to the Scottish people, we're sorry for letting you down, for making you feel abandoned, and Scottish Labour is under new management. I think Jim and his colleagues should just leave the scene.
Who would you put in his place?
Well, that would be up to the Scottish Labour
members.
Though? Well, that's a good question. I don't know. People will have to emerge. In situations like this, very often leaders emerge, and that's what we want. We want leaders in the Labour Party nationally. We want leaders in Scotland. We have a leader in Wales that captured the imagination of ordinary working people, but we have to deal also with the challenges.
Len McCluskey, thank you very much.